Hey there, everyone. Bobby D here with Inspire Hearts and Virtual Event Fundraising. I'm so pumped today to have my partner, my fiance, my love, and the one that I choose to share this amazing world with, the one and the only Erin Ward.
Also the one that you're locked in quarantine with.
Yes, it's amazing. I love it. So, Erin, I've made almost 20 videos now, and this is pretty awesome to have you here in person to be right here to talk about this. This is a Virtual Event Fundraising Connections, and we were our auctioneers, fundraisers, all of that, and our world changed just a few weeks ago. How's your world?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm stoked to be here. It took me some while to get here because juggling a couple of kids and also working with all of our groups. So many of our groups are really needing some big hugs virtually. And so we're just really spending time looking at what that looks like, looking at what the communities look like. I didn't feel really able to make any commentary until I had some real feedback. And as you know, everything changes daily, especially coming from the New York market.
Oh my gosh. So yes, here we are in New York. What's the word on the street? What's everybody doing now that their nonprofit event is not what it used to be?
I'm hearing several things. So from a world perspective, people are looking for community. I know that on a personal area, our whole neighborhood is so community driven, from sharing supplies to getting grocery deliveries and sharing it with the entire community and the whole neighborhood and really helping as much as we can. So that just reassures how much we're really going to be coming together as a community, which, as you know, in fundraising is my favorite part. So there's that side of things. And then on the other side of things is that events are moving into different styles. Obviously, you have postponements. Plenty of events that are postponed. Fall is going to be a really fun season. I think we're seeing that people are really looking forward to finally being able to go to events and looking to support their communities. So I think that I'm pretty optimistic that events will be very successful as they start rolling out in person. I think we're seeing a lot of virtual events, and I'm seeing some pros and cons to that, if I'm completely honest. I know that we are really advocating for groups to keep going with their fundraising because they need to happen, but I'm seeing a lot of different sides there.
Okay, so let's talk about the pros. Like, what are the good things of a virtual event? And
always the optimist over here.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would say the best parts that we're seeing is that it's giving people ways to communicate, and it's giving groups opportunities to come together. I mean, again, here from a personal side, I had a high school reunion or elementary school reunion, just an opportunity on Zoom for us all to get together. And if you are coming together as a community and showing support, now this works especially best for groups that are active right now or are helping communities right now. Really thinking about groups that are helping the underserved communities, that are helping the homeless, that are helping the food insecure. Like, there's so many groups right now that need the extra additional support. For me personally, the domestic abuse groups that are working all the domestic violence, the children's abuse. There's so many groups that really need the support right this second, and throw out a virtual event by all means, because you need to get out there and get the support, and people are ready and willing to help.
Right. So creating that community, connecting the community is a big thing. I love the fact that we can cast a broader net, like with a gala.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're going to have 300, 500 people in the room. And now, I mean, how many people do you have on your Facebook? I mean, there's 3,000 people that are, that could be following you on Facebook. And now it's a chance to combine that community and bring them all together within that. So that's a big pro for me. So let's talk a little bit about...
Wait, so let me say the other side of that pro, which goes back to what you're saying here, is that there is a group out there that is looking to help. And we've always talked about millennials. And this is a great way for me to go back to my millennial story. Yes. Millennials are taught from little babies, they are told that they can change the world.
Yep.
Well, they've watched everybody else screw up the world, right? So here they are saying, oh my God, it has to be fixed. Well, here's an opportunity that they're not having to spend exorbitant amounts of money to go to an event, and they're able to participate, and they're seeing it. So what do millennials want in their giving? Transparency, thanks, public thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really set up for turning a millennial into a donor, and that can really go on for a very long time. So that's my biggest pro about it, I would say.
Right. Well, you have the millennials, and then you have us. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer.
I'm a millennial, thanks.
Okay. we're close. So you have the Gen Xers that, are 40 plus that, are, going to be coming into this new transference of wealth that's happening. And then there is the boomer age that so many groups are like, well, if we do a virtual event, they're never going to figure it out and not know how to do this. It's like, how do we work with that? It's like, they all know how to use Facebook and they all know Amazon. It's all fine. But my favorite opportunity that's here is boomer, Gen X, millennial, now the Zennials, like our kids. Yeah. To be able to have them attend a virtual gala to join and watch and see the impact that this organization is having. And then now for them to see that and be like, I want to be a part of this. I want to bid in the auction. I want to, yes, mommy, daddy, you should give them some money because they're doing great things. So this is a great way to connect many generations.
And we talk about it in our own family is that this is an opportunity where we're all learning to homeschool, which is not quite actually homeschooling. And we're looking at it as an opportunity for psychological homeschooling.
Yeah.
We're really teaching our kids things that they wouldn't naturally learn if you didn't have this time. For us, it means our kids are learning to clean the toilets.
Or, paint a room like they were painting today.
But they're learning parts about being in their home and owning their home and their space, but they're also learning about their community. They're learning about why some kids don't have laptops. They're learning about why there's food service programs. They're learning about these different things that we are spending our time sharing with them. And this is a great opportunity to share even more stories, integrate giving, integrate helping beyond yourself, which is a great opportunity.
Totally. And then we're all in this together. So now let's get all the generations together, gather them around the laptop to experience this virtual event fundraising experience. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the cons that we stay up many hours at night talking about.
My first is probably not what you're expecting me to say, because there's one thing that really bothers me, and I'll talk about it in a minute. But I would say one of the cons that I'm hearing from my clients is they're bored.
Right. Yeah.
That people are coming out and doing these. Thank you for that. I'm very tired. Please don't rub it in. People are coming out and they're saying, "Oh, I can do a virtual event. Sure, I can. Yeah, like I've done whatever, and now I can do this." And they just think that everybody can do this. Well, I'm sorry, not everybody can do it. And it's like saying everybody can be a news anchor, or everybody can be a famous actor, or everybody can be a Picasso. Like people have to have certain talents and certain skill sets, and they have to be practiced. And Bobby will tell you, anybody can be an auctioneer. It takes 10,000 hours of practice.
That's it.
I mean, that's, is that Malcolm Gladwell? It's like, you just really need to get out there and practice, right? So here these people are doing these virtual events, and God love you for trying, but there's definitely a lot of practice that has to happen. So when our clients are clicking in, our major donor friends, we do a lot of market research with people that are giving, because we want to know not just from a auctioneer perspective on how to make events successful. We really do a lot of research with major donors, with philanthropists, with nonprofits, with development directors. And a lot of them are coming back and being like, I went to 4 events this week and they're boring. Yeah. They're not keeping the life in it. Here's my $20 and I'm going back to watch Schitt's Creek.
I'm going click. Yeah. And I'm out. Yeah. And you're right. If it's not engaging and it's not exciting, they'll find something else to watch and someplace else to give their attention to, because that's what we're getting. We're getting their attention. And then once we get their attention, then we can build that inspiration, then we make that motivation. And then there's that call to action. And then now they're going to be engaged with you within the fundraising element, or within, maybe spreading the word. But yes, so it has to be good. What else? What else can we...
So that's one of my biggest things. I also think that you need to make sure that your event is appropriate to be doing virtually. Again, I think that some events should just wait. And you know me for my bluntness and my honesty, and I think that some groups just have to wait it out. It's just not the right time to be fundraising for you, and it might be uncomfortable for some people if not done correctly.
Right.
Okay, the biggest thing is my personal fear. This is my personal thing. And these events are virtual, which means they are being broadcast on the internet, which means the internet will live forever. As we teach our children, don't post pictures, don't share photos, because when you're going for a job interview down the road, that picture's going to be there, right? Well, here you are videoing and sharing with a giant network your gala. And I'm sure all of you are out there are thinking about the last gala you had, and everything went perfect,
Amazing.
right? Seamless.
And everybody said the right thing at the right time. And
Oh, and just everything happened perfectly. The caterer didn't drop a tray of dishes or a table of dishes. I mean, the major speaker didn't fall off the stage. You think about all of the things that happen at your gala, and a virtual gala is not different. You will have snafus. And granted, human error happens, and that's fine. Love some human error because it keeps it human. So then you've got groups that are pre-recording. Okay, love that style, except there it goes back to boring.
Right.
So you have to think about who that representative is going to be on stage and prep them so much that their heads are going to explode, because they have to hold all of the attention and say all of the right things. And if they happen to say something that's offensive, inappropriate, abusive, that misrepresents you, this could be that blooper reel that lives on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, really, your Steve Harvey moment could just echo through the sands of nonprofit world.
And then your nonprofit brand is tied to that. And it is absolutely scary. I mean, I do have to do a very shameless plug real quick. I mean, that's why we created Inspire Hearts Fundraising, is because events can be done better. And we hear so many times, and had heard so many times, like, oh my God, our event sucked. Or like we talk about special events and everybody's like, oh, that's terrible. They don't need to be that way anymore, whether they're live or they're virtual. And that's why we've dove into the data. We've dove into the psychology. We've dove into all of the pieces that go into build an event, whether it's a live event or a virtual event, on how to make it the best. And also for us to be your best ambassadors, to really share that message, talk about the impact, and then, create that inspiration and that motivation for your donors that are watching through maybe their little lens or maybe a big smart TV, for them to really be like, okay, yes, we need to do something. So, I mean, that's why I love this. And that's why I love, being on the internet here, because it matters what is said and how it's said and how the people on the other side of this lens feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. It's also, we do a lot of events for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and it's a national group. And so I actually had a call with one of my development team today for one of our local ones. And I've been working with them for years, and I love them to pieces. Shout out, girls, what's up? So I happened to be talking about them this morning, and I was talking to her about what she's looking for, or what they look for as a national. Again, looking perspective. And she told me that her favorite moment from me, which is kind of cool, that there was this speaker that was on stage, and he went off script and started telling about a very emotional moment. And my script lead in after that, because they do send out a national scripting, leading out of that would have been so inappropriate. It just would have said really inappropriate things at that coming out of that moment. And she's like, you just took that moment. You felt it. It was obvious to all of us that you felt the impact of this moment. You weren't a computer. She's like, but you knew our mission so in depth that you were able to use a different part of the script and use the same messaging and then push it through and keep the guests involved in that moment with that story, with that father telling the story of his son, and really use that impact to continue on through the organization. So this is not an accident. This is what we do. And there's others out there, but what they do and what we do is really work at getting into exactly what you do as an organization. This is not, I don't come in for 5 minutes, sell some items and leave. This is, I want to know how the money is used, who's using it, what programs you're running, how many of the programs. We ask ridiculous amounts of questions. Yep. But this is the same for your virtual event. If we're up there talking about you, we're your representation. The person on that screen is a representation of you as a whole. They are completely your event.
Yep.
They are your nonprofit. So even if it's not about making money, it's just about getting donors. You want to make sure your donors are seeing somebody up there that gets it. They're not misrepresenting. They're not saying something inappropriate. They're saying something that really is inclusive to your organization. And I think that's my biggest fear, is that people are going to go off script and say something really inappropriate.
Right. And it's mitigating that loss or that opportunity and setting, again, your nonprofit virtual event up for success. And I mean, that's another big component that we work with. And yes, we are the ambassadors, the inspirers, and the motivators. But it's also, we work with nonprofits to help design those events, because there's so many elements. I mean, how a special event and how many pieces go into that live event.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to take it to a virtual event. I mean, there's going to be another next level of pieces that need to get built into that. I mean, there's the timing, there's the scripting, there's the video messaging, there's the PowerPoint slides. There's all of these components that are going to go in there, and then who says what when they say it and how they say it. So there's all of that, but then there's also the major donor strategies. There's the strategies that you create with your sponsors, as well as your board members, your staff. How do you spread that word, to get people to click in and be a part of your event? There's all of those components that are there. And us being on the screen is literally 1% of the amount of time and energy that we put. Yeah, it might look like it all, but it's not. I mean, we put in hours and hours and hours behind the scenes to make sure that your virtual event is as best as possible.
I love that. I do. We get those kind of comments all the time. Oh, you just stand up on stage and dress nice. We're like, yeah, that would be so nice if that's all we did. But actually, that's not what's so important to us. And that's something that's very different the way we look at things. And I think that's really true with your virtual event. And like you're saying, there's so many components to it. And I love, so Bobby's been doing all of these interviews and getting information from so many different areas to share so that you can understand there's all these different components that are all coming together. It's not just one perspective. It's not just one little area. It really is a big working machine, and it all has to come together.
That's absolutely right. So Erin, I love giving nonprofits tips, tricks, strategies, value from them spending time with us. So what could be some tips or tricks that they could do right now if their event maybe was coming up in June or even July, or in August, September, and they're considering doing a virtual event? What's something that they can do? What would you tell them?
Let's see. I mean, you definitely want to check, obviously, because of what I'm talking about, you want to really talk to your professionals that are out there, and the team is going to be engaged and what that's going to look like. And I would say the sooner you can start studying mission and really formatting what that's going to look like, you really want the entire thing to be very seamless. So really building up a momentum. We do a whole timeline, a whole strategy timeline. So I would say really work with your professionals and look at what that's going to look like. Actually, this is a pretty interesting thing that I hope everybody's thinking about it. We all thought about the venues that changed, but from the auction perspective of things, and as you know, we don't do a lot of live auctions, we do more paddle raise, but from this point of things, we are hearing nonstop from our colleagues that people are double, triple, quadruple booked. So if you are moving ahead, no matter when you're considering moving ahead, you need to look at the dates and really talk to them immediately and really make sure that your date works before you book it solid, because people are booked, and imagine an entire spring season is now in fall or next spring, or they're moving to virtual and everybody's doing it. Right. So you really need to think about those people and think about what you want that to look like and how you want it to feel. Make sure you've got the right person up there. This is an opportunity for you to go and shop around and find the best person for your organization. If you're doing a cancer organization, maybe your auctioneer has some kind of history with cancer. If you're doing a women's rights event, use a woman. But no, really, think about what you want this to look like, and think about the people that are going to be engaged, and share your mission. This is a great time. People are looking to learn things. People are bored out of their minds. If they can spend that amount of time watching about a tiger, they can spend time learning about you. They can learn about all of the awesome things that we are doing. And I think the world needs a lot of good news these days. We really do need to spread the mission about all of the good works that nonprofits are doing. And it's time. It's time for us to be a better world.
That's right. And I think that's a perfect segue into wrapping this up. Erin, thank you for being a part of this conversation. Look forward to more conversations with Erin, because we're going to have her do some interviews, and we're going to really dive deeper into this virtual event fundraising experience and how to make it better. And we're going to show you behind the scenes of how we're doing it, how we're working with our nonprofits to really create something. And what is great now about having a studio like this, that we can do virtual events from our office right here, from our studio, to help you, the nonprofit. So if you're out there and you're thinking about how do we do this, we've got it handled. We know how to do this. We've got the right connections. We know the right technologies. We know how to put this all together and can help you do this. So, Erin.
And even I think shameless plug for Bobby over here is that he's got so much information. So even just looking for some different advice or anything, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, please.
because there's a lot of information that we're trying to gather because it's a little bit of overwhelming. It's like having a baby for the first time and walking into a store and saying, which stroller?
Right.
So really come on in and reach out to us because we're here. And that's our passion is really helping make this world better because it's time to be a better world.
That's right. And thank you to our nonprofit friends that are watching. What you do matters. And you're changing the world for the better. And we couldn't be doing it without you. So continue to go out, be awesome. And again, my name is Bobby D.
And I'm Erin with Inspire Hearts Fundraising.
All right. Thanks for watching. All right. Happy fundraising. Bye.